on the battlefield and beyond. Refront.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Liam Cogan. This is the 3 Bravo podcast, and today we're going to be doing another Veterans Benefits breakdown, and we will be going over the sharks, the scammers, and the frauds. So if you didn't check it out last time, this is basically your guide to the worst part of military transition, which is everyone who's trying to take your money and not give you anything in return. So to truly understand, and if you didn't check out last episode, check out last episode. It's got a couple hot takes on just different practices that are going on, different people who are doing some larger scale frauding and scamming. I go into kind of who is doing a good job. But in this episode, it's going to be far more history-based because, now don't tune out just because you heard the word history. The history of the Veteran Services Officer program and the VA at large is the source of all of our veterans' transition pains. That could just be my hot take, but I'm going to logically, in historical, what do they call that? Historiogram or whatever, right? From just from old to young, in historical order, I'm going to tell you how this program was built, how the Veterans Affairs was built, how our benefits were created, and why we're in this position where we are right now, where so many people don't know what they're entitled to. And when you think you know what you know, you think you know something, you actually find out that you don't. I learn a new veterans benefit at least once a month. Maybe I'd heard it before, maybe whatever, but that's kind of the greater issue here. So to kick it off, I'm going to go into where we started, kind of how we built our Veterans Affairs, Veterans Benefits program, and then what's wrong, okay? And I'm going to tell you what is legal and what is illegal as it pertains to being represented by someone. And then where are all these people? So if it's illegal, how are all these people making all this money, right? As we've seen, different larger companies that have made an insane amount of money have had to go in front of Congress and testify. Vet Guardians had to go testify in front of Congress, or maybe it was, in front of a select committee, but they had to testify and say, this is why we're getting all this money from all these people. So it is a huge issue if you're not tracking. And if you aren't tracking, hopefully you haven't been taken advantage of. And if you have been taken advantage of, please tell me what happened. Send me a message, put it in the comments, and share this with someone who's getting out, because this is going to go into very easily what to do, what not to do, and who to trust. So to start this off, where does this all come from? So the oldest veteran service organization, the oldest thing in America that really stands today in a large capacity, that has a lot of influence over veterans, is the Veterans of Foreign Wars. So the VFW was created in 1899, I would imagine largely because of the Mexican-American War. And that was like our first big VSO, our first large club that had a lot of veterans inside of it. Then after that, you have the American Legion is next, the Disabled American Veterans, and then finally, after World War I, you have the Veterans Bureau. So the federal government stepped in and made what is called the Veterans Bureau. All these are just like individual entities, just helping people connect with each other and figure out what to do with their lives after war. So in the 1930s, the VA is established. The VA is basically created in the wake of World War I and basically right before World War II. The VA was created because benefits started expanding. As they expanded, the VA didn't have, massive funding, right? So they had to rely on the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, to create what is known as the Veteran Service Officer. So the Veteran Services Officer was created just to, really figure out VRE, which is like our original big bulky program. And they helped a lot of vets not only figure out what they were entitled to, but they advertise themselves. Hey, yeah, come check out the American Legion. Oh, we've got a guy who can help you figure out your benefits. He's called the Veteran Services Officer. They all met up. They decided on the name. So then you have World War II. After World War II, we expanded our benefits greatly. our benefits package turned into not only VRE, but the GI Bill and the VA home loan. Huge expansion, lots of really great benefits to really help our World War II heroes get up and on their feet. And, at this point, we're worried. We're 20 years between two major world wars. It's like, okay, the support has really got to start rolling in for these guys, because it looked like we were just going to start getting into back-to-back. I mean, you never know with this like major cadence. Everyone wants world wars to be done. But point being, we get into this major world war again, and they expand the benefits to really help these guys get on their feet. And you're talking about a lot of Americans, a ton of Americans who needed some way to get back into the workforce. So you have VRE, GI Bill, VA home loan. And so the VSO position goes from this, like you're dual hatting as an admin clerk at the VFW and you're just helping out as a veteran services officer, to a legitimate program. So a legitimate paid position. It became a real deal position. So this is balanced between the VA accreditation and these veteran service organizations, American Legion, VFW, DAV, all understanding that this position needs to be paid. So you have these big companies that are getting paid a lot of money just in donations after the war and all those kinds of things. And they're putting up money to make veteran services officers. So people are generally aware of what they're entitled to, because these guys are getting out of war after being, pushed through some of the most unbelievable conditions that we've ever seen, especially in World War I. And they're coming right home and they have to pick up their job where they left off. So lots of programs basically build a professional veteran services officer to help these people get back on their feet. So that's the history. That's why it's a weird program, because it's not completely owned and run by the VA. Not all these VSOs are in large part, almost entirely sponsored by veteran services organizations. So when you meet a VSO, they're very likely working with the American Legion, VFW, DAV, or another, nonprofit. And the VA accredits them, and they put on large trainings. So the VSOs are choosing candidates and saying we can pay for someone in this location. And then the VA is saying, okay, we verified these guys. We're okay with it. We're going to accredit them. They have to go to this training in this place at this time. Kind of like how it shakes out in a very basic way. So when you get these veteran services organizations training VSO officers, and then they come back to the VSOs, sometimes they go to the VA. Some VAs will employ a VSO. You have like a bigger area. The VA of your state will actually have VSOs. So that's where you're going to see a lot of these VSOs. Now, you can be accredited. Like I worked for the VFW. I was doing VSO work for them. And then you get a new job. You move or whatever. You get a new job. You wanted to work with them still, but you can't anymore because your family had to move, whatever. You can continue working as a VSO because you're accredited, you were vetted by an organization, and you were trained. So you can maintain that label and work as a third party. And it's not really it's you can work on your own as a VSO. So you can separate from that large community and you work on your own. So there's the paralegal, let's say, of the VSO world, or the admin assistant who's cleared to do a bit of work as well. It's called a veteran services representative. So remember these names as you go through this process. There are VSOs, veteran service officers. There are veteran service representatives, which are cleared to do less work, but they're basically like, if you have a really big VA near you, or a really big, you're in a large city like New York, you're going to have a veteran service officer with a ton of cases, and then they're going to have to spit out work to veteran services representatives. So that's someone you'll likely interact with if you're not in a massive city, or if you are in a massive city and you have a representative or someone who just didn't do all the training, right? I mean, there's like a lot of use cases for everyone here. So going into people that aren't strictly sponsored by the VFW, American Legion, larger veteran services organizations. So then you have accredited claims agents. To become an accredited claims agent, you fill out a PDF and you send it to the VA. It's got basically references. It's like a small resume, not too much background to it. And then you have to take a test. If you're slotted to become an accredited claims agent, you have to then follow through and take a test. The next category is an attorney claims agent. An attorney claims agent is a lawyer or a law group, paralegal, who need to get approved to help with medical disability claims. An accredited claims agent is going to be the same thing. This is going to largely deal with medical disability. That's as it stands right now. I wouldn't be shocked to hear that there are attorneys and claims agents who are now working to get people into the VRE program or to fight whatever. The way the VA has created this monster, it is super litigious, so lawyers can readily insert themselves, claims agents can insert themselves, third parties can insert themselves and make money because it's so hard to figure out. So good and bad, it's a big system. There's a lot going on. It's bureaucratic, and it's very nice that the VA says, okay, we're going to accredit these people instead of the very lengthy process of the VSO thing because, we just need to get some more claims going through. That's good in my opinion. It's just it adds to the confusion as well. So you have VSOs, VSRs, accredited claims agents, and attorneys. I hope that makes sense thus far. And then lastly, so those are the legitimate positions. If you're looking for someone to talk to and they're going to charge you a fee, okay, they're going to charge you for some service or something, they better be one of those people. Now, here's where we get into the red flag gray area issues. Then you get into sharks. No matter how good intentioned someone seems or sounds, if they're charging you an astronomical price to handle your claim and they are not accredited through the VA, one, that's illegal. But there's things that they can do to legally charge you fees and basically do less than a law group, veteran services rep who's on their own, an accredited claims agent. There are things that they can do to circumvent the law here. So I'm just going to let you know who they are, and then we're going to go into the legalities. Once you understand the legalities, all the key players, you can make an educated decision here. So the sharks are someone who inserts themselves into the process without accreditation, generally going to go by something like a disability coach, disability guide. They'll guide you through the process that you do yourself. They'll tell you where to go and who to talk to. They'll charge you to get you in front of doctors, to get you nexus statements. To understand what a nexus statement is, it basically just means like you're going to go to the doctor and they're going to give you a go ahead, like this guy's totally disabled. It's a little more complicated than that. And I'll get into that a little bit in the legalities here. But a shark is anyone who is not accredited. So if you're going to just nip all of this in the bud, ask for their accreditation. Are you accredited by the VA? And if they're not, and you truly believe them, like they're part of some Facebook group or they're some LinkedIn guru who's going to give you life coaching and guidance, okay, they're charging you for information, which is wrong, which is why I do what I do. Do not pay for information. Information should be free for us. It basically is. Here's where the issue comes in. VSOs are basically completely inundated in their working day, which if you've tried to get in front of a VSO, you know this. They're just completely overwhelmed every single day just doing the basic work to go through claims. The issue then arises that their position as we know it is for veterans benefits information. They're supposed to help us with information, help us find forms, help us file claims, help us do all this stuff. Unfortunately, they're just basically VA disability gurus at this point. That's all they do. Yes, really good ones will take the time and teach you this and teach you that, but they're so overwhelmingly busy that they cannot possibly do all of the coaching and guiding that they're supposed to do, like what the intent was. I don't blame you, VSOs. You have way too many people to work with, way too few resources. So let's get into what is legal, what is illegal. So it is illegal to charge a fee for an initial VA disability claim. If you are doing your first claim and someone is charging you for a webinar, a course, a guide, coaching, don't pay them. And if you're the person charging people for this, you're a piece of trash. Come at me. I live in Reno, Nevada. Come out here. Let me know why it's so important that you need to get paid when it says don't pay, don't charge people for this service. But your coaching's going to be great. So if there is one thing to remember, do not pay for your initial VA claim. It is illegal. Now, the way they get away with it, like I said, is they say, I'll coach you, I'll guide you, I'll make sure you get the best you can get. Come listen to my webinar. It only costs you $20. $20 for 500 people, every one. It's a racket, okay? So, enough said there. Now, there are stipulations to that. An accredited VA agent, attorney, or claims agent can charge after a notice of disagreement is filed after an appeal is initiated. So that kind of just goes into very specific case-by-case stuff, right? So nobody's VA claim is going to be exactly the same as somebody else's. And if there is basically anything where a VA-accredited person is going to be able to charge you more than what seems to be normal is if your claim starts getting hairy or takes really long. Regular stuff. You have to understand that these people, like a claims agent, attorney, a VSO working on their own, a VA agent, if you're paying them, you're paying for a service and they're not taking more than 20% of your back pay, you're paying for a service. They are doing stuff for you. They are filing lots of forms, maintaining this for you, and that's to free up your ease of movement for your own life, so you don't have to learn how to do it all. Because unfortunately, the VA made it wildly convoluted. When you're in the military and you have a bunch of forms to sign, someone's got to figure them out. Admin's got to figure them out. You got to figure them out. But they're going to sit you in a room. You're going to get paid the whole time because we're on salary. Get paid like $1 an hour. In the civilian sector, they're getting paid by the hour that they're going to work on your stuff. So no, it's not a racket to be an attorney or a claims agent or whatever. It's just unfortunately what has become a necessary part of a very overloaded system. If you choose to pay them and you want to pay them after your first claim, by all means. So, and another way that they can make this is like, you can listen, anything that you're paying for before you get your first rating is wrong. Find a VSO. Simple as that. So, unaccredited individuals representing veterans. Very simple. If they do not have VA accreditation, they are not allowed to represent you, okay? Because what is essentially going on in this interaction with the VA is that any VA accredited person is basically acting as like a legal stand-in for you. Like they're making decisions for you. I'm blanking on the word. I blanked on it earlier today. It's just one of those things. Power of attorney. They're giving you power of attorney to act on someone's behalf. That's literally in part of the paperwork. Okay, so when you find someone who's a coach or a guide offering to file or represent you as a veteran in a claim, when they're saying like, we'll guide you through the process, we'll coach you through the process, you can come to my webinar. If they actually end up writing on a piece of paper for you, that is illegal. Report that, please. And I hate to say stuff like this, people's intentions can be good and everything, but we need to start eliminating some of these sharks and frauds. Shark scammers and frauds. Like, we've got to just start getting rid of them. I'm sorry if you're one of them and you have great intentions. Do it the right way. Go get accredited. So guaranteeing a specific disability rating or outcome. You cannot guarantee an outcome. If anyone guarantees you an outcome, we guarantee you over 90%. We guarantee to elevate you from 90% to 100%. I've seen these commercials on Instagram. I don't know how these guys aren't getting hammered. You cannot guarantee a percent. I'm sure there's some verbiage there where it's like, we guarantee we'll do pretty good by you. Just read our bylaws, like read the fine print. It's garbage practice. You're garbage people, and I hate you. And again, if you got something to say about it, come on out. So aside from that being illegal, it's totally unethical. It's you don't know what you can guarantee someone, and if you're charging for that upfront, you're a piece of crap. So you can't file fraudulent or exaggerated claims. That should go without saying. If you go and work with a company or an attorney or whatever, and they're talking to you about what's going on with your body and you're just having a hard time articulating it, and they help you out and say like, well, is this affecting this? Like, they're working on a basis of knowledge and just using like previous information to help you suss out what's going on, right? Not all of us can articulate, not everyone is, Robert Frost. Not everyone can articulate exactly what's going on in their body at any given time, and sometimes you forget as well. So it's helpful to have someone helping you along the process. However, if that help goes into, well, you just got to say this. Like, if we're going to get this done, you got to say this. That's illegal. Okay. Lying or exaggerating symptoms should go without saying. Fortunately, half the time it doesn't. So here's where we get into these gray area practices. This is where these guys are making money, being scumbags off of veterans, inserting themselves into a difficult process and getting more money out of it. Now, here's the real issue is that when they do this, because the system is so difficult and veterans are so appreciative of any help, these people are getting elevated. Like the sharks and frauds get elevated. They get pats on the back. People are coming up to them like, hey, man, you really helped me out. You got me squared away. You got me to these attorneys, or you got my stuff squared away. You helped coach me through this, and they're really appreciative of it. And I see it all the time, especially in these Facebook groups. And it's like, well, they're kind of stealing your money, but yeah, appreciate it. Sure. The reason I'm making this video too, the reason this is really important to me is because if we don't all know all of this, like if we can't spread this information, if we can't talk to each other, if we can't get this word across, these people are going to continue to grow their followings, going to continue growing their schedules, their bookings. They're all booked out for years, right? Just to steal people's money, to insert themselves in a process where they're basically fraudulent and illegal, but they're operating in gray area. So going into the gray area, charging excessive consulting or coaching fees. So while consulting on VA claims, consulting on VRE, consulting on GI, whatever it is, it's not illegal to charge for it, for consultation, coaching, whatever, right? Some people do coaching and they pay for it regularly, right? So in this sense, it's not illegal. However, they can charge exorbitant fees because there's no verbiage that can technically disbar coaching. And if you can't block the coaches, then they can charge whatever they want. We'll just move beyond that. Okay. They're going to charge a lot of money. Or, monthly subscriptions, anything where your coach who tells you how to file your claim turns into a life coach as well. And we're going to make you a life plan out of it can be helpful. They can provide some degree of service. However, it is a gray area and it's messing up this whole system. So misleading no upfront fees, claims with hidden costs, right? So basically saying no upfront fees, we're not going to charge you for our coaching, our guidance, or whatever. Or even if it's an attorney or a claims agent, this happens as well. No upfront fees, or a prior VSO. No upfront fees, like we're not going to charge you anything. It's all going to be on the back end. And then there's some sort of membership plan, minimal value. There's all these ways to disguise hidden costs and talk about, we'll expedite your service. We'll get your claims done months earlier. You just got to pay a little extra. It's not illegal. It's just a scumbag move. If you find it, you're at the wrong person. You're with the wrong people. This can happen with attorneys and claim agents as well. It can happen with individual VSOs. Not everyone has your best interest in mind. They are still probably going to help you. Okay, you're going to find help out of this, but it's like, it's exactly like this. You're going downtown for a basketball game. You see a lot on the right and a lot on the left. One says $3. The other one says $45. With a car wash. You roll into the $45 one. I needed a car wash anyways. These guys look really nice and sharp. They're dressed in suits. You roll in there, spits on your car window, and you park your car. That was your car wash, right? It's just scumbag stuff. Okay, we all should get what that is. So using, and I haven't really seen this, but they can use aggressive high pressure sales tactics. It's just, I was trying to think of things that people are probably doing out there. Fear mongering people into like urgent messaging saying, if you don't get this done, you're going to lose everything, or the PACT Act just cleared. If you don't act now, you're never going to get anything that you're owed. And it's just people with a lot of money and advertising power end up, not always, but a lot of this ends up being fishy. Okay. Act now, you may lose your chance. So, like I was saying earlier, promoting medical nexus letters at an inflated price. So a nexus letter links your condition, whatever you're dealing with, to your military service. That's what the nexus letter is. It's just connecting things. Nexus in the body, a nexus in anything is just connecting one thing to another. These can be valuable letters, right? You go to the doctor, they connect your brain tumor to some service-related issue. It's huge for your disability rating. However, if someone's charging you upfront fees in excessive amounts to get nexus letters, listen, you can work with a good VSO, you can work with a good attorney, you can work with a good anyone who's accredited in the system to find this information. Do not pay for the nexus letter, even though it sounds good. Don't pay $1,500 per good deal nexus letter, okay? Listen, these are all gray areas. This is not illegal. It's just wrong. Claiming a VA endorsement without accreditation or without proof. They can claim that they're VA like approved, but they're not actually VA approved, right? So it's just like, look for phrases that are avoiding saying VA accredited. You want to see that VA accredited. It's what's on every piece of paper. It's what should be on their business storefront. If you're seeing something like VA recognized experts, they're scumbags, likely. Just ask for their VA accreditation. Are you accredited? Can I see your accreditation number? You'll have an ID. VA accreditation has an ID. VSOs have an ID. Attorneys have an ID. And then our last gray flag, offering pre-filing strategy sessions. So you're still in the military, you're worried about all this shit, you don't know what to do, you're Googling like, okay, what's a filing strategy? And you see all these Google-sponsored, SEO-promoted ads offering a pre-filing strategy system. It's basically just coaching. They're trying to get your money before you get out. Remember this. No one can charge you for your first VA claim. Don't panic and say, oh my God, I'm not going to get rated the right way the first time. There's a good chance you aren't. A lot of people don't, and they come back for supplemental claims. Just deal with that as part of the way this system works. Get your first rating, start a supplemental claim. You can use a VSO again. You can use someone who's VA accredited. You can use the attorney, claims agent, anybody. Don't use these sharks for coaching. And please, you can do it on your own, but don't. Like if you don't get what you wanted or what you believe you're truly owed after 2 VSOs and then an attorney, and the attorneys, they just won't take your case if it won't pay the bills for how much work they're going to have to do for you. They're just not going to take it because, it's pretty straightforward. So long as they're not getting paid up front. Don't pay anyone up front either. Okay. Paying up front is not the move. Pay only out of back pay, because then if your claim goes sideways, you're not paying any money. And there are plenty of people doing that. So to say like, I'm just going to go with someone who makes me pay up front, don't do that. Don't. To really round this point off, do not pay people who are non-VA accredited. Do not go outside of the VA accreditation realm. Don't pay for coaching. Don't pay for strategy sessions. Don't pay for nexus letters. Don't pay for anything. Okay? That's really it. If I've missed anything, if you have something that you want me to explain further, please reach out, send a comment, share this to people who you think need it. Please like, please share, please follow. Really helps me out. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the encouragement. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm Liam Kogan. This was 3 Bravo, your Veterans Benefits Breakdown. Sharks, Scammers, and Frauds, Part 2. Peace.